Welcome to the iRacing Skip Barber series here on BSRtv, back for a new season, Season 5, the very first round from Summit Point, with me, Chris Cohen, and Matt Dalton in the commentary box. Evening, Matt.
Evening, Chris. Evening, everybody. Welcome back to Skip Barber Heaven.
Skip Barber Heaven. Oh, well, that might change come the first corner, because it's a very full grid we've got tonight. 39 cars.
Full right up, full to the brim, excluded some of the regulars even, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame, but
well,
it's going to be manic, as always.
For a brand new series, it's always great to have a full grid from a viewer's perspective, but, you know, maybe not from some of the drivers who couldn't get in, so sorry to anyone who couldn't get in, but it's just so popular now that it is a bit of a problem. But luckily you've got the ability to have a look at us, well, not look at us, but listen to our angelic voices on YouTube.
I'm not so sure people would want to see us.
Perhaps not, no.
Got a face for radio.
And very big thanks to Mr. Robert Plumley, who is providing our alternate camera this evening. And on your YouTube player, you will be able to switch over to the Robert Plumley onboard camera at any point if you get bored of listening to us, and you'll be able to take a look at how he's getting on track. So that's a bit exciting.
Yep, should be good fun. Not going to attempt any first lap commentaries while he's doing it, because only a buffoon would try that.
Well, hopefully he doesn't try that on his own stream. Well, maybe if he does, he might be able to do a little bit better than our last attempt, at least.
He might talk to himself while he drives. I know people who do.
We got a 20-minute qualifying session here, and about 30 minutes on the racetrack, and it's all to play for, really. Everyone wants to get a good start in the new season, and some of those practice times are remarkably close, Matt.
Yeah, the first 9 all within the 121s, and then pretty much everybody in the 22s after that. It's the Skippy series, we've got used to it being close. We got used to the guys at the front being together, and the guys in the middle all tangling around and all sorts else. So I don't see any reason that's going to change here. And this place always provides good racing and a bit of, shall we say, some slight contact. So, I don't see any reason this is going to be any different.
It's not the widest of tracks. It's a very long start-finish straight, which favours the drafting tactics. Oh, we got a bit of action already. One of those cars off as Dave Gunill just goes through. Let's hope in his new orange livery he's protected from the commentator's curse, because every time last season he was in that snot green car, we put him off by talking about him.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he thinks that changing the colour scheme is going to make any difference. It sort of gave him a slight reprieve towards the end of last season when he changed to blue and white, didn't he? But he's not going to get away with it. Dave Gunill.
He's got a new drive this season in the 02, Warnell Racing. Gunill and Ward making up the two halves of that team. It's not hard to guess where the name Warnell came from in Warnell Racing. A few other...
No, I've no idea.
No idea at all. A few other family favourites out on the track. Wojciech Swirydowice is back out there as well, busy doing his qualifying thing. We've got Rapstinner's back in action as well, his teammate. So the two Wojciechs are teaming up this time around. And Mare Mercer is out there on the circuit as well for PH Racing, a slight rename from last season. Blake Townend, once again, last season's champion, driving again for Radicals Racing in the number 57, is out there on the circuit as well. Let's bring up those positions on the screen so you can see how everybody's getting on. And a 122, so straight in there, 122.2 from Townend as Grillo goes second there. Good start from Townend, but not the fastest time we've seen so far.
No, and of course, these things on the newer tyre model, which means that they'll get quicker as the tyres warm up. So once they're 4 or 5 laps in, they'll be really up to pace. Allen Percy just gone top there, and then immediately replaced by Woj. 121.6 on cold tyres. Wow, that's putting a statement down, isn't it?
Well,
Blake,
time.
Yeah, Blake not quite had the pace in practice so far, so it can be interesting to see if he can improve that for qualifying. He's more of a race guy though, isn't he? I think.
Yes, when he gets a lead, he tends to hold on to it. We haven't seen him come from too far back in the field because he's never needed to. So if by some quirk of fate, he does qualify a little bit further down the order. It'll be interesting to see how far up that field he can go. But Swirydowicz, the first man into the 121s, and he didn't waste any time at all.
No, real statement of intent from Woj. Blake, I think he raised the bar a little bit last season with his title, and some guys are pretty keen to get that back, and Swirydowicz is one who, he's one of the guys who I think looked at a little bit of his luck and thought that he got the wrong end of the stick a little bit, so I know he's really going to be keen to redress the balance this time around. So
Grillo goes pole, beating out Swirydowicz.
Get used to that, don't we?
Absolutely. Allen Percy, 6th at the moment. Good result for Allen if he can stay there. A new driver as well, Mark Hamilton, is just been pushed down to 9th by Rapstein, in fact, but down to 10th now. But he's very quick as well.
He is. There's a number of guys in here that I'm not entirely familiar with, but who seem to be quite quick as well.
Well, Chris Simpson, driving for Club 100 Masters, is a new entry this season. A couple of other new entries this season.
You're going to say in at number 10 is the new entry this season.
I need some Led Zeppelin in the background to do that. Ross McWilliam is driving for an independent drive with a nice lime green gloves on there. Oh, and he's backwards at turn 3. Almost takes out Paul Grillo with his spin as well, but he'll pick that one back up. Let's hope he can do better on another lap. James Childe is new, driving for Club 100 Semi-Pros, so the kind of the sister team to the Club 100 Masters there. And Ashley Blakeley, we haven't seen him before.
No, that's another one. Steve Efford just chucked it into the wall there.
So
Ashley Blakeley with a very cool paint job on that. The old Nigel Mansell classic Williams, yeah, that's pretty cool, like that.
It's not really a Williams for our viewers at home, but it's a Mazda-powered Skip Barber Formula 2000.
Yes, definitely not Formula 1 car. You can tell that by the fact that it quite clearly doesn't have a phallus hanging off its nose.
Well, it's considerably slower, but this is a considerably tighter circuit as well. Summit Point. We're just watching Blakeley come around that notorious turn 3 with the uphill section and the wide gravel trap on the outside, and he'll come on soon into the really tight, twisty sort of hairpin section. There's a hairpin left and then a hairpin right, and the exit to that section as well is very difficult. So straight on the brakes here from Blakeley. He's going to keep it nice and tight, and then he's going to come around the second hairpin. You almost don't have time to accelerate between the two. Tries to keep it as tight as possible, and it's all about building speed through the exit to this section with the right-left, almost like a chicane, and then the following right-hander to take you onto the back straight. It's doing a good job so far. Most of the drivers, in fact, are in the 123s, which is very impressive.
Yeah, very quick. It's an interesting little track, this. It's one of those ones that you can, depending on your driving style, you can actually run a couple of different lines and do some different things with, and that whole section from where you get to that first hairpin, there's a couple of different ways you can run it. The corners are all sort of cambered inwards, so you can actually attack them more than you think, and you can run, like I said, a couple of different lines. You're always looking at a compromised exit somewhere in that whole sort of split S section. It's all about trying to maintain the most momentum for the right-hander onto the straight that leads to the last corner.
Oh, big moment from Andrew Chatbourne riding over the inside of turn 3 there. Andrew, another new entry this season. We haven't seen him out on track before. A lot of these drivers will feel they have something to prove as well, coming into this for the first time, knowing that there's champions out there with them on the circuit. Yeah,
absolutely, and not wanting to heap any pressure on them, but they do. Some of the guys that we're more used to seeing in this series have not been able to make it this evening, likes of Simon Hulbert, Simon Povey. There's others as well. George Streetley's another one. James Steele didn't make it, so these guys have come in and perhaps perfectly legally, we should say, pinched some spots off the regulars, so they've got a lot to live up to.
Well, another new entry here, Fahim Antoniades. He is not slow either, running in 18th at the moment, but fully expect him to improve on that position by the end of qualifying. And you're right, some big names have been left out of this session by the fact that the grid is full. It might be down to the series organisers to take a look and say, let's run 2 qualifying sessions so that everyone gets a chance, and then the top times get in. At the moment, though, it's first come, first serve in this series, so as soon as it's full, and it filled up within about 20 minutes, and we had an hour and a half, 2 hours practice.
Yeah, season 1 in any year is always a little bit more tricky. A lot of people get new computers and things for Christmas, and iRacing as a whole tends to pick up a bit of a boost from the January period onwards, and it's when the weather starts to get better that we tend to see the numbers start dropping off. So they may want to have a look at that, but I think they'll probably give it a week or two and see what happens.
Tom Ward then, on board with Mr. Ward. He is the other half of Warnell Racing, along with David Gunill. 122.5 at the moment, not good enough to break into the top 10, but almost there, running 14th.
Mare Mercer running one of those Club 100 paint jobs as well.
He is not. He's in the PH Racing livery there. It is slightly different.
Are you sure? It's blue, isn't it?
Let's have another look. He is. Well done. He's running a Club 100 livery, but he's marked as PH Racing.
What's this Club 100 about then?
You know, we always do our research here on BSRtv before we go on the air.
It's important to look professional for the viewers, isn't it? No idea what that's about. Well, either they've all signed up to some sort of gambling site, or maybe they're into a bit of swinging, who knows.
You can just see him here behind Paul Grillo. He's drafting with what I assume to be his teammate, PH Racing. So let's assume that the overlays are correct for now, and he is in the PH Racing team, which they were in last season, the two of them. So 2-man teams, or 2-person teams, if we have any ladies driving, in the Skip Barber series. Sometimes you see 4-man teams in the form of sort of sub-teams and such, but there's no official team championship. The teams are just kind of there for fun, and it's all about the driver championship.
Yeah, and of course a lot of these guys will have teams that they'll run in on iRacing that they will run in a different one for this sort of series as well, so that may explain why they've got the paint job, the Club 100 thing, maybe a bit of a bigger club. There's Chris Simpson's running a Club 100 paint scheme as well, so that's another new guy to the series.
Grillo over the line, 122.1, so 0.6 off his best so far. He's pushed down to third as Mare Mercer, the gentleman behind him, his teammate, has gone pole, 121.3, and that's a very fast time. Pushes Swirydowicz and Grillo right down there.
Very quick time. That's right up there with what we saw in practice, so very, very good time for Mare Mercer, that one.
And of course he was drafting behind his teammate that last lap, so that would have added about a tenth or so over the course of the lap. I'm not really sure how much there.
It'll help a little bit. I mean, it always does, but perhaps not as much as it does at some of the other tracks we'll see in this series.
And this is Mr. Robert Plumley, who is on a 123.0 at the moment, and don't forget that we have a second camera this evening, which is on Mr. Plumley's car, so if you want to watch the race on board with Robert, just click over to that other camera at the top left of your broadcast, and you will be able to do that.
So, I'm picking, on Club 100 drivers, I've got Jonathan Maycock, appears to be in the Club 100 paint skin. I've got...
So we have Stuart Simmons, Chris Simpson, and Peter Cowan as well, but Peter didn't manage to get in the session, unfortunately.
There's not 100 of them. There's not 100 of them, so it's not that.
Should be
I'm
Club
curious.
4 then, shouldn't it?
Should be. One of you guys who's in Club 100, explain that one to us. Drop us a line and let us know what that's all about.
Yeah, the YouTube comments box is ideal for that.
Yep, we can always big you up and give you some extra mentions if you've got sponsors and stuff, and if not, then we can easily be bribed. Yeah, I was going to say we can easily be bribed with wine gums. Disappointing, actually. We're into our second series of doing this series, and still no response from Maynard's. So if anybody does know anybody at Nestle Limited, by all means, give them a shout for us.
And Rich Jones going round to complete another lap. He's another new entry this season. Haven't seen him before. 123.1 to beat, rather. Over the line then. 122.8. That pushes him up in the standings.
Not especially slow, these new entries, are they?
Not at all.
It's not like they're rocking up with no practice.
Well, it's a great time in the 122s, and in fact all the way down to 24th place are in the 122s at the moment, and nobody has posted a fastest time that's slower than 1 minute 24. So that just goes to show the kind of pace these guys are running.
Yeah, Jonathan Maycock and Bobby Bramley doing a bit of synchronised spinning there.
Oh, and Maycock's backwards. That's a shame. He gets it back on the track. Bramley decides to get a new car. Oh, we got another car off in the background at the final corner.
Yep. Got a little bit of pressure, came in and he crumbled.
Oh, terrible. Terrible. I'll pay you not to use those.
I know. He hit the first corner like he was on custard as well, so there we go. It's topping itself off quite nicely. Oh dear.
How many is that? 3?
That was 4 or 5, yeah.
Stephen Hefford, 28th place, back out there in the number 72 Team Castrol machine for another season, along with his teammate somewhere on the track, Dan Hunt, who is in 15th at the moment, so doing a little bit better there with a 122.5 and only 4 minutes of the qualifying left. That's
a very, very impressive run there by Dan Hunt. Not one of the top guys last year. He was there or thereabouts, wasn't he? But that shows that something's clicked with him with this car, because that's quite a big jump up the board from him.
You would expect as well, seeing as Summit Point is a free circuit on the iRacing service, that drivers who are not normally as quick on the paid circuits are a little bit faster here, because practically everybody's driven it.
Yeah, that's certainly true. It is one of the tracks that comes with the iRacing service, so it's one that people are perhaps more familiar with. But you know, it's also, I would say, if you can drive a car quickly around this track, you should be good anyway. It's not an easy track to drive in these cars at all. It's got a technically demanding course.
Just having a look at the onboards from Rob Marshall, and on a 123.7, and that in fact is the slowest qualifying time that's been posted so far, so that is pretty incredible in itself. Allen Percy though, up to 4th position in qualifying, and out-qualifying Blake Townend.
He's found some speed, hasn't he, Alan?
Absolutely, must have put in a lot of practice to get there, because these other drivers are no pushovers at all. Mare Mercer still on pole with that incredible 121.3. Swirydowicz about 16 hundredths behind. Oh, a spin there from Paul Grillo. He's off the track. Bins that particular qualifying lap. Maycock in 7th. We haven't seen him that high, have we?
Are you sure Paul Grillo binned that? He still seems to be driving around to me.
Sorry, Rob Marshall binned it, not Grillo.
Yeah, Maycock in 7th. That's pretty impressive. Of course, Stuart Adcock missing, and the other cock is in here somewhere as well, isn't he?
The other one?
There he is. Tim Adcock is there as well. Yeah, no, Tim Adcock. He's there as well.
Right, no, that's fine.
P10. So,
in the new Ninja racing machine.
Yeah.
But it would have been a candidate.
Speaking of ninjas, I've just noticed who else is missing.
Martin Peck.
Martin Peck. Team Stealth Assassin Racing.
Joined back up with GR Racing for another season and didn't manage to get in, so sorry for Martin, and we'll miss watching him come from several positions back.
He'll still sneak in and get himself on the podium somehow. even if he can't connect to the session, it wouldn't come as a surprise at all.
Well, that would be a first, but I wouldn't put it past him.
No, certainly not.
A minute and a half left then. Are we going to see any more flying laps from anybody? Tim Adcock in 10th position at the minute. Kai Barker.
Yeah, Grillo up to 2nd.
So Grillo out-qualifies Swirydowicz. It's going to put a little bit of pressure on the almost champion from last season. Two-time champion in this series, of course, Swirydowicz.
He's not going to be happy with you. You keep reminding him of that one, is he?
No, I have a habit of doing that. It's a bad habit. Let's
Dave Gunill.
Last lap. It doesn't look like a particularly fast lap at the moment, though.
Well, it never does look that fast for these guys, and then they bomb in a time that's about a second and a half to 2 seconds faster than we can do in the same car, so...
Well, Alan Prost did say, you know, when it looks like I'm going slow, I'm going the fastest. Or something like that.
He did say something like that, you're not wrong.
And it's definitely not going to be a very fast lap from Swirydowicz. Perhaps he got held up on the earlier portion, but he's already passed the point at which he would beat his time.
Grillo's gone pole. 21.2.
Great time from Paul Grillo there. So
that is very quick.
It's a PH Racing 1-2 at the moment, with Grillo and Mercer in the front row of the grid, with a front row lockout there. Swirydowicz 3rd, Maycock's up to 4th, pushing Percy down to 5th. Green in 6th, Townend all the way down for him in 7th place. Rapstin continues to do well in this series with an 8th place, and somewhat surprisingly, I'd say, Kai Barker in 9th.
That's a good run for Kai, yeah. Well, I think you've got you've got Paul Grillo and Mark Mercer working together with each other to make sure that they give each other a tow around. And Jonathan Maycock has actually quite cleverly latched himself onto the back of those two and is picking up a draft. And as I say, it's the old what we call the old Hector Barber trick, wasn't it, from MotoGP? Is the tendency to rock up, follow Mr. Rossi around and pick up a good time from nowhere.
So Barker down to 10th now as Tim Adcock manages to squeeze in there in the 8th position. Will there be any change after this final lap as Clarke Williams is one of the last men to start the qualifying?
It's strange to see Blake struggling this much, isn't it?
It is. It is. I have to be honest and say it is. It's just come over the line though in a 122.1, so that's not going to be fast enough to do anything with his qualifying. So he'll be starting from 7th unless anyone else can pip him at the post and push him down further in that field. Let's hope for his sake that that's not going to be the case. Piercy starting 5th though, that'll be very interesting.
Simon Field down in 25th place as well, and that's behind Dan Hunt. Fair play to Dan, he'd be happy with that.
So Dan Hunt qualifying 20th there, and yeah, returning Simon Field, who we didn't talk about in qualifying too much, is 25th. Clarke Williams though beats his time, pushes him up to 13th. Not good enough to break into the top 10, but not really that far off, you have to say. Almost from Clarke Williams.
No, he's there or thereabouts, isn't he? Which is all he can do.
So those are the driver positions for the qualifying session, which is now over, and the drivers will be heading to the grid fairly soon, and it's going to be Paul Grillo pole and a PH Racing front row.
We saw this from Paul last year, though, didn't we? Fairly regular pole positions. I think, if he wants to be one of the guys who we genuinely talk about as a title threat, I think he needs to start converting some of these poles into wins, doesn't he?
Yes, he doesn't win all that much, it's fair to say. His race pace, not quite as good as his qualifying pace. Still,
he did have some
it's
bad
pretty
luck.
fast.
Yeah, he did have some bad luck last season, so it's not like we're trying to have a go at him unnecessarily, because obviously, remembering as well that he is a million miles faster than me. But he did get himself in positions to get good results, and then one way or another it didn't work out, didn't he? Like I said, he's going to have to convert it, because if there's one lesson from last year, Blake is going to finish races, and is going to finish them close, if not at the front.
You're not wrong at all. It's going to be very interesting to see. There's Mark Mercer just on the front of the grid there.
Are we going to predict first turn carnage? I'm not.
Well,
I'm going to go for
turn 5.
Yes, that hairpin there. Yes, that's where I'm going to go for.
Seems to be a slight technical problem with the camera, in that we can't get it close enough to show you any kind of detail. Oh, there we go. That's better. So Grillo with the yellow nose takes up pole position here. Look at the size of that grid as well. It goes off the hill down at the bottom. There's a little kink, sort of a bump on the road, and you can't see all the cars, but there's 39 of those cars lining up on the grid there as we speak behind. So Swirydowicz third. Swirydowic's connection is not very stable. You can just see that car blinking in and out of existence, so I hope it doesn't cause any problems with the close quarters racing that we're used to seeing here. Drivers have got a few more seconds to get to the grid. The lights are on. So round 1 of Season 5 of the Skip Barber Championship is almost underway from Summit Point. And we have green.
Here we go.
Grillo leads the field away. And Swirydowicz continues to blink as well. Townend holding his line on the inside there. A couple of moves further down the field as they make this very long drag down to the first corner here. Grillo's going defensive with Mercer right behind him into turn number 1. And they both get through there, but Swirydowicz is round the outside, and let's see how all these other cars do. Let's see if they can all get through there safely. Everyone's good so far.
Yep.
Even Rob Marshall at the back manages to
get
through. Oh, we got a car slowing down.
For once, one of my predictions almost came true.
So we lost one car, but it wasn't due to a collision, I don't think. Oh, and someone's off into the gravel in the background, but just look at the number
he's
of
okay.
Barbers.
He should recover that. Here's where it all goes wrong.
Down to the hairpin for the first time. Can everyone get through here safely, or will anyone be caught out by this breaking point here? We got a little bit of a shunt in the background. That's one of the Radicals machines. Is that Blake Townend? Was he turned around there?
I don't think that's a Radicals car. I think that's just a black and red car.
No, Townend is still going, so that wasn't him. Just trying to work out who that was. Matthew Teager has binned it as well on turn number 6, so unfortunately he is now right at the back. Looks like the nose is missing from that Skip Barber, so maybe some contact there. Wasn't too bad, was it? I mean, most of those cars got through there okay.
Yeah, I think Dave Gunill copped the poke in the rear from that one, but it doesn't look like he's got any damage there. I think his car looks okay, so...
And Mercer has been pushed down to 4th position, and a blinking Swirydowicz is in 2nd, right behind Paul Grille. As Mercer makes the dive down the inside, Townend tries to follow, and that's Maycock on the outside, getting suckered by 2 cars, will he? Reb Green is... Oh no, that's Allen Percy just behind. Side by side, Percy and Townend. Percy has the inside line here.
That's not a good place to be going side by side. Blake wisely giving him the room there.
And it's going to slow both of those drivers up a little bit, as we've already got a bit of a gap forming to the front of the field with Grille and Swirydowicz. Townend trying to stick his nose down the inside of Percy for turn 5. Can't get the job done. And that's Reb Green, who has lost a few positions from the grid, unfortunately for him.
Yep.
Maycock
we've seen
holding
this
his own
before.
at 5th.
We've seen this before as well, though, haven't we? When these guys start, the temptation's always there to try and battle with each other and dice away. But when they do, they can quite often trip each other up. And already there, you can see a gap forming from Swirydowicz back to Mare Mercer. So again, these guys need to knock that kind of knock the fun off out, I think, a little bit. Otherwise, the front 2 are going to be gone.
Swirydowicz, the gap to the next car is now 1.8 seconds back to Mare Mercer. So that's quite a gap to have already, and Swirydowicz will be having a look down the inside here, most likely. We've got a little bit of action going on just behind with Rapstin as well, just on the inside there. He's going to make it past, that's Mark Hamilton, just about. Marcus Hamilton, I beg his pardon.
Yep,
But, no
Tom Ward just behind him, he's having a fairly good run as well.
He is, yeah, Tom Ward up to 11th place. And Swirydowicz, that must be really distracting for Paul Grille to see that car flashing in his mirrors. Swirydowicz didn't find a way round, or perhaps he just wants to stay behind Grille. It's worth pointing out we've got 19 laps here, so there's no point making a move early if you can stay on somebody's tail like that.
Yeah, Clarke Williams running around with no nose there. That's not going to help your sense of smell.
A little bit further back in the field, Rich Jones is in a mid-pack battle. He's dropping places, as he has Rob Marshall right behind him, who's up to 30th now. And there's a whole gaggle of cars coming through there. Who's that? That's James Childe trying to go down the inside. Doesn't get the job done though. That's going to allow Paul Lee. No, it's not. It's James. And in fact, it's Chadbourne who dived down the inside of James Childe there and didn't get the job done. So Paul Lee's down to 26. So possibly something happened to Mr. Lee going around there. Dan Hunt is running 19th now, so lost a few positions. Just look at this, they're basically 3 wide on the start-finish straight, and it's Dan Hunt's Castrol white machine at the back of that group there, just trying to, weaving left and right, just trying to slot the car into a sensible position. And he's got, he's going to make the move down the outside. Oh, it's very close down there in turn 1. Everyone giving each other a lot of respect though.
Yeah, that's good. That's what we like to see from these guys, give each other a little bit of racing room.
Clarke Williams.
Interesting, Clarke Williams, that Michael Jackson look has not affected him at all, has it?
And Alan Patterson just in front of him as well, as we're on lap 4 now. No move at the front, Swirydowicz still behind Grille, and that gap's about 1.8 seconds still. What, someone's off into the wall. Who have we lost there?
I think that's Chris Simpson. Just lost it on the right-hander and slapped the wall.
Let's see if we maybe can go back and have another quick look at that. So, quick replay of Chris Simpson, who was leading this group, and just gets it sideways. And the other car's doing well to stay out of the way, but that's tragic, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing you can do once that car lets go like that. Into the tyres.
P24 as well is good old Robert Burton, as usual, running around with no nose cone. He's obviously been attempting to Burton someone, hasn't he?
He's had a bit of an incident, perhaps.
Gone for a Burton.
Thought he'd have a look down the inside of Ash Blakeley there, and he's gonna. Well, Blakeley's gone very wide, and Burton takes that position. And he has got Paul Lee right behind him now, so Paul Lee will be looking for that 24th.
More René Arnoux than Nigel Mansell there, wasn't he?
And Burton very defensive on the inside, tries to hold off Paul Lee, and will do this time round. Lee's just got to be careful because Blakeley's right there behind him.
Oh, Robert Plumley's stopped in the middle of the track as well. He's had a bit of an incident there in turn 3, I think.
Let's go back and see if we can pull that one up on the camera. Stay out of the way, Rob. Yep, he's done the right thing there. So just coming into turn 3. Yeah, gets the car sideways. Gets collected as well, so there might be some damage on that. I'm not sure who hit him there, unfortunately. But very difficult position to be in because he's right on the racing line and tried to get off it. But obviously cars streaming around to both sides. So pit stop necessary for Robert Plumley, who is our onboard camera for today on YouTube. If you want to switch over to the other camera and see how he's getting on, which won't be too exciting at the minute, but will be when he gets back on track, just click on the other camera at the top of the YouTube picture.
He better not quit. He dare not.
So up at the front, up at the front, Paul Grillo is still defending from Swirydowicz, and that's back marker just behind them. So
yep.
Mare Mercer is just at the back of the picture there. He's now 2 seconds behind.
Yeah, Jonathan Maycock running pretty well there. Sat in behind Mare Mercer in P4. He'd be quite happy with that. And don't worry, if Mr. Plumley thinks he can retire, he will be shot for dereliction of duty. We promise you that, viewers.
Well, he has got the free repair, so he should be able to get back out on the track and get going again. Probably just waiting for the tow truck to deliver his car back to the pits. Maycock's doing well though, you're right, staying on the back of Mare Mercer. He's doing a very good job there at the moment, and those two have formed a little bit of a gap back to Townend, who really doesn't have the pace. I mean, he's in 5th, so he's still very quick, but the front two are clearly getting away from this group.
Yeah, he's uncharacteristic for Blake, isn't he? He's not quite been as quick as he's looked last season, but you know, it's a long championship, and first race, most important thing. If you haven't got the pace, I think if he manages to get a 5th place out of it, he'd be pretty happy with that. And it's that consistency is what got him the title last year, really, isn't it? When everybody else was
to win every race.
No, and when everybody else was losing their head and making mistakes, he was like a little metronome, wasn't he?
Rob Green down the inside of Wojciech Rapstin.
Oh, Swirydowicz has taken the lead as well.
He has. We'll come to that in just a moment, as Green is down the inside for 7th place. Almost loses it. It's going to be side by side still. You can just see Rapstin on the outside. It's just going to be the inside of turn 3. Rapstin's going to hold it as well. It was a close shave for Rapstin. Oh, and Green's gone very wide there. Green's lost it, so down to 12th position through that little error there. And
I think he's recovered it, hasn't he? He's recovered it well.
He has, just losing out on a whole load of positions because there was a lot of traffic building up behind that moment.
Impressive, Tom Ward. Very impressed with Tom Ward, running really well there in P10.
P8, he's in at the moment.
Yep, sorry, quite right.
Someone's run wide there. Who's that? That's, I don't know.
Paul Lee.
Oh, so Paul Lee looks like he's a lap down at this stage.
Yeah, I think he was just doing a very sensible thing and getting out of the way there, so well done, Paul.
Yeah, very out of the way, so as to not cause any issues with the faster drivers here coming through. So Tom Ward up to 8th position. Be delighted if he was able to finish there, but it's still got a long way to go. Only lap 11 now out of 19. Only lap 8 rather out of 19.
Yeah, Swirydowicz still having all sorts of connection issues at the front here. He's blinking in and out and warping really badly, and I think Paul Grillo is, you know, rightly making comments about it, asking what's going on there, because he really can't look to try and make an overtake or anything when he doesn't know where the car in front of him is.
Well, that's very true. Tim Adcock gives Ward the jump, but look at this, Marcus Hamilton coming into turn 3 now, too wide. Ward has to give that one up, so Ward's down to 9th now after an unsuccessful attack on Rapstin ahead of him. Ward's taken a very tight line into turn 5. Can he get it slowed down? Yes. Yes, he can. So good drive from Hamilton as well for Friction Racing. Keeping that one out of trouble. I think he needs to consult his style guide in terms of the glove colour in relation to his car. But other than that, the driving, no complaints there.
Bit harsh.
We only
picking
know
on
harsh,
his selections. Picking on his selections of colours, that's a bit harsh. Maybe he likes lilac.
Lilac. I love it. Rapstin has a little bit of a gap in 7th place now, after that little battle going on behind. And Tim Adcock doing very well. Very defensive from Adcock there. Look at that. Down in 8th place at the moment for Ninja Racing. He is now side by side with Tom Ward. So once again, Ward forced to the outside here, coming down into turn 1. And just behind, we've got Keith Sharp challenging Hamilton there. That's going to be very, very close as lots of cars merge into turn 1 there, and again Ward losing out. He's now side by side with Hamilton once again, pretty much as it was last lap.
That's not going to go well. You can't 2-3 wide into turn 3 here. I'm always constantly impressed with these guys, how they can do things like that. If I tried that, I would actually be dead.
Well, Adcock had the disadvantage of being on the outside there and still managed to retain the position, and Hamilton won't want to go around the outside here. So no change, but lots of excitement in this 5-car battle for 8th place.
Every time we say something with the Skippy series, if they won't want to do this and we can't do that, surely they just go and do it anyway. They give up making predictions about where this lot can and can't pass.
Yeah, some of the best racing I've seen on the service in this particular championship. The 0-9 machine of Tom Ward still looking for a way into 8th place. A top 10 finish would be very impressive, so he just wants to keep it out of trouble, but he'll take the position if it's on offer. Meanwhile...
Grillo is attempting a Mika Hakkinen style move here on Swirydowicz, and it's worked.
He's got him round
Use
the
the
outside.
back marker and slingshot the pair of them. Really good move. Really good move.
Let's have a look at that one on the replay, just coming onto the start-finish straight now.
And of course, meanwhile, while those two trip each other up, look who's edging back up to him.
That's the ever-present Mark Mercer in the background.
3-way.
It could well be before long. That gap's now down to 1.3 seconds from
Break out the loop.
It's a bit early for that.
It's never too early for that.
Maycock is now 2 seconds behind, and Townend 2 seconds behind him in 5th place. But a 4th place finish would be probably a record for Maycock, wouldn't it?
Yes, I'm going to say. No idea.
And this battle for 8th place now, what's going on here? Tom Ward is all the way down. He's lost out massively there. 5-car gaggle still. The back of that is Reb Green after his little off on turn 3. And they're basically single file nose to tail. Oh, yep. 2 moves here as well. Ward
for anybody who's watching Rob Plumley's camera on YouTube, it's about to get interesting. He's about to get mobbed.
Well, Green's got a very good run off the corner, but he's boxed in here. Oh, well, Ward's given him the room. So Ward now down to 12th as Green jumps Keith Sharp down to start-finish straight. Ward tries to pick up the slipstream of Keith Sharp, and it's going to be interesting in turn 1, lap 11. Green's holding the inside. Sharp's gone wide. Oh, a shame for Keith Sharp as he's just had to slow it down there, and he drops off the back of those guys.
Meanwhile, Swirydowicz is absolutely monster in the back of Paul Grillo here. He is all over him.
And Plumley's just been lapped there by the lead 3. You can just see Paul Grillo there as a cameraman is getting lapped.
That gap to Mark Mercer does not look like 1.8 seconds at all.
Well, now it's down to 1.1 seconds now.
Yep.
So Mark Mercer is still in this fight. He's got 8 laps left to reduce that gap and get past if he can.
Plenty of time.
Especially if the front 2 decide to swap positions again, because they've swapped positions twice now already.
They will.
Very sideways in the final corner from Mercer, but holds on to it well. And you see the drivers using all of that runoff area on the left-hand side of the exit of the final corner.
Swirydowicz going for the inside again. Yeah. No, thinks better of it this time round, I think.
And Plumley wisely just getting out of the way on the start-finish straight in the background.
Of course, the thing is that Grillo is still having to go defensive, isn't he? And every time he goes defensive, Mark Mercer carries more momentum and just takes another 2/10 out of him.
Well, you would have thought these two guys could have probably shared the lead right up until the last lap, and then every man for himself. But Paul Grillo is on the same team as Mark Mercer, so it's in his interest to hold up Swirydowicz and have Swirydowicz caught by Mercer.
Yeah, but I don't know how much do these guys really, when they get down to it, how much does the team really mean to him, and will he go for the win himself?
Well, it's an interesting question because Swirydowicz, he missed out big time last season. He'll want to make up for that. But
he does.
As well as that, these guys just love overtaking each other. They love racing one another.
Yeah, they must, because at the end of the day, like we said before, there are times when you just sit and play follow my leader and wait towards the end of the race, but these guys always seem to get the rush of blood to the head and go nuts, don't they?
So it's now 1 second from Swirydowicz to Mercer, and Mark Mercer's going to be getting pretty close to being in that draft fairly soon, if he's not already. That gap just coming down a little bit. Grillo defending not needing to defend, in fact, he's taking the outside. And a move now from Blake Townend in the background as he overtakes Jonathan Maycock. That gives him 4th place. Maycock doing well to hold on to 4th for as long as he did, but now down in 5th position, and Percy in 6th, so good result. Well, good drive from Percy so far.
In fact, Blake has actually just got past Maycock there, so as we said, you can't write him off, can you?
I sometimes wonder if you listen to me, Matthew.
Do I? Sorry.
So Percy in 6th, Maycock in 5th, Townend in 4th position, and Percy will just stay on the back of this group.
These guys get swapping positions so much, it's so difficult to concentrate on what is actually going on that I can completely lose the plot in the commentary box here.
Tom Ward is still in this pitched battle for 8th place, which is currently with Marcus Hamilton. But you can see those 4 cars are still nose to tail on the track, and this is for big points as well. So Hamilton is the winner of this battle at the moment. Tim Adcock just behind him, and Reb Green managing to recover from 12th to 10th at the moment. Tom Ward will feel a little bit hard done by. He's been pushed out of the top 10 now, but it's not all over yet. Simon Field, meanwhile, is now up in 18th position, and that's Dan Hunt up in front of him in 17th, chasing down Mark O'Connell.
That's a bit more like we'd expect from Simon, isn't it?
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Trying to keep a close eye on this gap at the front here. The 2 at the front have stopped battling a little bit, and that gap stabilised itself at around about a second, and Mark Mercer is giving it absolutely everything he can to try and catch up, but I think he needs a little bit of help, really.
So down the inside, Dan Hunt takes 16th place away from Mark O'Connell.
In fact, he's got it, he's on him.
So Grillo and Swirydowicz have been caught by Mark Mercer now. And Mercer's got a 5-second gap to Townend, so it's probably all over for Townend in terms of getting any higher, but in 4th he'll be fairly happy. But now it's up to the front 3.
Yeah, given his pace, I think 4th would be a result, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no point trying to win every single race, and if it's not one of his stronger tracks, 4th is a very good result.
Yeah, you quite often hear people saying that you don't win championships by winning races on your best days. You win championships by maximising your points when you're having a bad day.
Swirydowicz just having to defend down into turn 1 there, as that's Stephen Hefford, the back marker, just in front there. Swirydowicz will hold on to it, but he's going to start dropping off the back of Grillo if he needs to go too defensive here. Still blinking as well, Swirydowicz, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's really bad, isn't it? And you've got to think that for these guys trying to race with him, that cannot be easy, because how close can they get to him when they don't know where if he's going to disappear? That's an interesting line, Mr. Mercer.
So Grillo's done his job holding up Swirydowicz, although I'm sure he'd argue otherwise, to allow Mark Mercer to catch up. Mark Mercer, multiple champion in this series, as well as Swirydowicz. Grillo, though, on for his first race win if he can hold on for another 4 laps now.
Yeah, Steph's not going to be making himself any friends there, is he?
He looks to get out of the way now. He's taken the inside line to get out of the way. Just needs to stamp on the brake a little bit.
That's the wrong thing to do, isn't it? Just get off the throttle, basically.
Well, gets out of the way in the end, and front 3, no harm done there. So Mark Mercer looking to make the move down the inside. There's a back marker on the side of him, so he doesn't want to do too much there, and Swirydowicz defending it. Actually, Swirydowicz has made a move down the inside. I don't know if he was just defending or whether he meant to make that move, but Grillo's been forced out wide.
That's allowed Mark Mercer through as well.
And Hefford's still on the back of this group as well, and while they exchange positions, they will be compromised in terms of corner speed. So Swirydowicz, well, we've seen Grillo drop 2 positions there just by being forced a little bit wide on the corner. Would probably rather not have done that. Mercer up to second though, and we wrote him off fairly early in the race because we said the gap was growing, and we were incorrect to do so, shall we say?
Yes. The only prediction you can make with the Skip Barber series, that any prediction you make is going to be immediately proved to be rubbish.
Well, we saw a little bit of impact down in turn 5 on that one, didn't we? But really it was very clean considering we had 39 cars going through there.
Yeah, it was very clean actually, and you know, even the turn 5 prediction was rubbished as well, so...
Well, a few retirements for you. Chris Simpson, we saw him into the tyres. Stuart Simmons as well. So that's 2 of the Club 100 drivers out. And Kai Barker, who we saw qualify quite well, is out. Luke Ridgway is out. Mark Harris is out. And Darryl Bennett is out. So unfortunately 3 of the new drivers are all out. As we're getting a little bit crazy going into turn 1 there. We didn't know who was going to make what move.
I think Mark Mercer I think Mark Mercer and Paul Grillo are both complaining that they don't know where Woj is on the track, and they're sort of saying to him that his connection is that bad and is warping that much they can't race him because they don't know where his car is ever.
Mercer down the outside has to take to the gravel, but I mean, is it the gentlemanly thing to just drop out of this battle if you're Swirydowicz?
I mean, you can't say whether these guys should or shouldn't do anything, can we? It's not our position to do so. But, you know, he's clearly having some connection issues, and the other guys, I don't think that's fair on the other guys, because they can't see what's happening, or they don't know where his car's going to be on the corner when they go to hit the brakes.
Well, I think it's all fine and dandy until there's an incident, and then that's when, you know, the blame starts being apportioned, perhaps. But it's been completely clean so far. But it must be frustrating for these drivers not to know exactly where his car is sometimes. And you can see our timing is getting very confused by his disappearance as well. That gap back to Blake Townend in 4th position is now over 6 seconds. So that one is pretty much done and dusted. So we come into turn 1 again. Mercer defending on the inside. He's going to try and force Swirydowicz wide. Maybe that will let Grillo through as well. Swirydowicz has lost it.
Yep, that will... Oh, unlucky.
Oh. Well, it was always going to be tight.
Looking at the connections, I've got to say, there's nothing obvious wrong with Woj's connection on this, so I don't know what's causing that warping.
Well, he just got a little tiny bit of gravel there, didn't he? The right rear is on that dirt and turns the car around.
Here we go then. How teammatey are the teammates?
I don't know. Why?
Well, we'll find out now, won't we? Because they're either gonna sit line astern towards the finish now, or they're gonna bludgeon each other to death attempting to win.
And it might well be that Paul Grillo says to Mark Mercer, you know, look, I've held up. Oh, and who's that off in the background? That's a back marker, I think. So we're all right there. We haven't lost anyone. Oh, it's Rob Marshall having a little bit of a spin. I thought it might have been one of the leaders for a second. But Grillo might be saying to Mercer, look, you know, I've held up Swirydowicz so that you can catch up. How about you give me the win?
He might. I suspect I know what Mark Mercer will say to that.
And it's not all about winning races, but if you're up there in the lead, why not?
Foxtrot Oscar would be my answer.
As we come on to the final lap out of 19 here. Mark Mercer leads the race. Paul Grillo is in second. Townend is promoted to third after Swirydowicz spin, which puts him down in 6th, but providing he can keep the car on the track now, it's a safe 6th. He's got plenty of time there. Townend's being chased down still by Maycock.
He's still got I was going to say, he's still got a rear full of Maycock there, isn't he?
He does. Not the best thing to have in your mirror on the last lap of the first race.
No, he doesn't look comfortable at all, and Maycock looks like he really wants that 3rd position as well.
Well, you'd like to say Townend is... Oh, and he's pushed him off! Percy has made contact with Maycock. Oh, and there's a collision behind as well. Is that Swirydowicz? Oh, disaster for Swirydowicz. Oh, and it just looked like Allen Percy got his braking a little bit wrong there, and let's go back and take another look at that. That's on the last lap as well. That's a disaster. see if we can go on board with Allen Percy. Coming down to turn 5 then, on the last lap.
Grillo looking racy on Mercer. You're going towards the last corner. This isn't over yet.
Yeah, just makes contact with the back of the car. Let's quickly swap to...
If the buxom woman had her lungs ready, she wouldn't be warbling just yet.
Well, they're over the line now, and that's gone to Mare Mercer. As the two drivers spin each other out on the line there. But Swirydowicz is going to come home in 5th. Maycock will take 4th. Look at the front of Swirydowic's car. There's not a lot left of it after that impact there. And Percy down to 7th after a very good drive, but the instigator of that's probably the one that lost out the most, so probably for the best that it happened that way and not another way.
Ooh, Simon Field, does he just nick a place off Bobby Bramley there?
Over the line, difficult to say.
Burton and McCurry having a little battle as well.
Burton's not going to get there, McCurry takes the place. And no,
a little bit of afters as well.
McCurry was a lap down, I think. Not sure that was for position. In fact, results coming up on your screen in just a moment. Then we'll just see if we can get some confirmation of those. Mare Mercer takes the win. His teammate Paul Grillo in 2nd. Townend, really with what you'd say was an unexciting but consistent drive, picks up 3rd place. Swirydowicz 4th, Maycock 5th, Hamilton 6th. Good result for Marcus Hamilton there.
Yeah, great result for Marcus Hamilton. Fantastic result for Blake, you have to say. You know, has not had the pace all night really, but has fished a good handful of points out of the fire with that one. Swirydowicz getting back to 3rd as well, 4th rather, so that's not ended too badly for him. So perhaps a little bit of good luck to correct some of his bad luck from last season there.
Just having a look in the YouTube comments as well, and a comment from Colin saying that I shouldn't be so rude about those gloves because they won him 2-star Mazda championships. So apologies for that one. He's obviously
told you not to criticise the gloves, didn't I?
A champion with the pretty gloves. That's what we'll call him from now on, I think.
See, now you're just being condescending.
No,
you're not very nice to these guys.
It's a compliment. I haven't had enough wine gums, that's my excuse.
No, I haven't got any either.
Allen Percy
Colin, send us some wine gums. We'll be much nicer about his gloves.
Yeah, there's an offer. Allen Percy finishing in 9th position, so he did so well throughout most of that race, and that little bit of contact at the end kind of put paid to the great finish, but still a good finish, must be said. Tom Ward in 11th, just
good result
in front of Dave Gunill.
Finished.
Yes, great result for Dan Hunt as well. 14th.
New paint job does work for Mr. Gunill.
And Rapstin finishing 16th, and we've seen him much higher up the field than that.
Hey, what happened to him then? There's an incident there, because he was quite high up at one point.
There must have been something, because I don't think he would have lost that much pace on his own.
Pretty good result there for Dan Hunt, though. That's
yeah,
very good finish in P14 for him.
And first timer Fahim Antoniades, is in 15th place there. I practiced that one for hours beforehand, and I still can't get it right.
You're going to need to.
Ross McWilliam as well, another new entry at 17 there, back in chart mode here. Yeah, that's a good finish. Matt has nothing else to say about that one.
No, that's a good finish from Ross. He might be a new guy, so I'm not too sure with him. Bobby Bramley picking up 18th, that's okay.
All in all, a very clean race from most of these guys, considering it was 39 cars on such a short, twisty track. Did pretty well.
Yeah, that's they all done pretty well there. I'm just trying to keep an eye on some of the post-race chat to pick up what people are saying. I think Paul Grillo feels that he was held up a little bit, which is why the guys were able to catch up to him. Wodge not too sure what was going on with his connection.
It was an unforced error. I mean, it's worth pointing out the connection wouldn't have made any difference. The connection problem didn't cause him to run wide onto the gravel. He would have done that on his own, but it, just one of those things, and lost him a couple of positions as a result. The main concern with the connection problem, of course, is that other drivers can't always tell where he is, so it's very difficult to avoid somebody. And it's when you're close racing like that, you need to rely on the other person to be in exactly the position you expect them to be in.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and it does make things very difficult. I mean, we should say as well that no way that Wojciech Swirydowice was, doing anything there that was wrong or illegal at all, purely out of his control with that issue. But by the sound of it, he wasn't even aware of it. So, just one of those things that can happen.
Let's go over now and see if we can have a quick word with Mr. Simon Field, because we saw him come up through the field, and he did very well to finish in 19th place. Are you there, Simon? I don't think Simon's there after all that. Bigged him up and everything, and he's not there. So never mind. We can't have a word with Simon Field, but nonetheless, doing very well there. And Team Castrol, a good start from them, from Dan Hunt, who finished 14th. Steve Hefford obviously finishing a lap down or so, but top 20 will get points in this championship. So it's all to play for, really, after one round, and plenty more to come like this, I hope.
Yep, great start to the season. We know how this is always going to go, and we know what the racing's going to be like. So lived up to expectation, and onwards and upwards to the next round. Let's see what happens then.
Next round is coming your way at the same time, 8:40 next week, Monday the 10th of February. Next time.
Where from?
Don't ask me that. I haven't even checked.
Sorry.
I knew you were going to ask that, and I couldn't answer it. That's why I was moving on to the next thing, which is the next time you can see BSRtv is going to be Wednesday. This Wednesday, the 5th, when we'll be back for Carrera Cup action in the rough RT12R from Silverstone. And the British Touring Car Championship continues after an exciting first round, where we saw, the first 3 rounds, where we saw Adam Terry win 2 out of those 3 races and get off to a good championship start. And that's on Thursday the 6th. So let's hope you can join us for those as well. If not, we'll see you next week for more Skip Barber. But from me, Chris Cohen, and Matt, good evening.
Yes.
See you next time.
Thank you very much.